All right, so we will continue with our afternoon sessions. This is part 2 of Understanding Science in Shastra. I also just want to make a third naked plug for education in the primary and secondary level, which is that in my science classes at the Bhaktivedanta Academy, we always do a unit called Science in Shastra, or is it Shastra in Science? And so we always take a reigning scientific paradigm and we analyze that paradigm through the vision of Shastra, and we also use that exercise as a way of developing scientific skills, like how to make a graph or how to construct an argument, and so real basic stuff. So we are looking also to training a new generation of devotee scholars to take on this important work. And our next talk will be given by Dr. Dmitry Popov, who will be speaking on a model of the relationship between revelation and science in Gauḍīya Vedānta. Dr. Popov received degrees in both physics and philosophy, including a PhD in philosophy in 2018. Subsequently, he's been teaching philosophy at the Russian Biotechnical University and Financial University under the government of the Russian Federation in Moscow. As a director of the Russian Bhaktivedanta Institute, he is currently working to develop a Gauḍīya Vedānta philosophy of science school. And so we look forward to hearing a little bit more about that. Krishni is beckoning to me as if I've missed something.
No.
Well, we'll find out. All right, without further ado.
I'm glad to start as a participant of the conference. I share my slides and start. All information is correct. I want to speak about the problem of the correlation of the knowledge of revelation and the knowledge of science. It's a common scientific philosophical topic which described in Stanford's Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and we have the main issues about this problem from Jan Barbour and his book Religion and Science. I use this conception in his summary that between religion and the science, we have four main models of relationship. I think first model is conflict, in which science and religion don't mix at all. Both argue that other is fundamentally wrong. Second one, independence. I think it's better than first model is model of independence. Both science and religion valid, but investigate different areas of life. They should not interfere with each other. Third dialogue model, this place for both religion and science in dealing with issues from different perspectives. Both look at the same world and use different methods of investigation. And finally, is model of integration, use science to support religion, review scientific findings in the light of religious ones, link the two together. And I examine the philosophy of Gauḍīya Vedānta, of our tradition, in this question. And first, the actuality of this question and this problem of trust in science. We have very interesting issue about this different different level of trust in science and different country, and India have most low place in this parameter. It's very interesting, but science, it's not just European institution, because we have the relationship between science and revelation in India before the colonization, European colonization, and we have different sciences in India, Ayurveda, which uses the model of interdependence between science and revelation, Varahamihira, which use the model of dialogue, and Brahmagupta, which use conflict model. And he denied the vision of Puranas about the cosmology. And in our tradition, Jiva Goswami, he found some positions, some axioms of our philosophy, and he also tell a few words about the cosmology and in Puranas and Bhagavata Purana and Jyotish Shastra, and he accept authority of both simultaneously, and how is it possible? Because Jiva Goswami use the separation of the sacred and everyday levels of reality, pramartika, vyavaharika. He follows Shankaracharya's arguments on many issues of knowledge, including the separation of the ordinary and sacred realms of reality. However, Jiva Goswami accepts the authority of revelation in both spheres. He accepts Ayurveda, grammar, astronomy, mathematics, and we have very interesting position of Jiva Goswami in comparative studies to Shankaracharya. For Shankaracharya, scripture, Shabda, is scripture is for description of Brahman only. And for this word, we must use logic and perception. And, example for his commentary, fire is cold. If we find this statement in the scripture, we must throw away the direct meaning. But Jiva Goswami, he understands Shabda as the foundation of the reality, and Shastra can be thrown away. If we have contradicts our perception with Shastra, we have different variants, mistakes of perception, like big sun, or we see just small sun. Maybe it's some mystic powers, like mantras, power of God, like Rama, indirect meaning, like house on the Ganges, and maybe it's missing understanding of Shastras, but we can't be throw away the meaning of Shastra, direct meaning of Shastra. And Bhaktivinoda Thakura, in his Krishna Samhita, have a lot of understanding this problem, and we have big discussion about this problem. I just want to show my understanding. Rethinking the symbolic as the sacred sphere, spiritual reality, not imagination, shows credibility to the sacred text. We do not accept such dating about he tell about the dating, ideological dating of scripture. We believe only the statements of the scriptures, and he indicates the contradictions of the existing interpretations of scientists regarding the analysis of revelation, and calls on science of the future to understand these issues. Yes, it's a very interesting point, which shows the relationship between science and revelation in model of dialogue. And we see that Bhaktivinoda Thakura use all these different approach or methods of relationship between science and religion, science and scripture. Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Thakur, he withdrew from empirical disputes about the scriptures. He developed the transcendence of the spiritual sphere for everyday knowledge, accept external and historical nature of eternal and historical nature of the scripture together, suggests self-researcher understanding to history of Vaishnavism. I show a few examples. In the commentary of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata, he used the strategy of reconciling Quranic and astronomical description about the Rahu and solar eclipse, and reformed Jyotish based on the existing observation. And we see that Bhaktivinoda Saraswati used the different approach also. And few examples about this point. Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Thakur about the Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he descended into the raging waters of fruitless empirical disputes, and it's his compassion, but we are unlike to benefit from mechanical imitation of any practice of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He told that scripture themselves are not empirical text of ancient books written in Sanskrit, but a transcendental song that can be translated by saints in any language. It's we can use just Avaroha Pantha understanding methods of cognition for understanding the spiritual sound. But in the same time, like what's some interesting point from books of Bhakti-Vikasa Maharaja. Srila Saraswati Thakur give the example that a person's body remained the same when he changed his attire. Similarly, the Puranas is sometimes lost and then represent in you in wearing forms and idioms suitable to the changing circumstance where their fundamental nature remains intact. And Bhaktivedanta give an interpretation of the original geographical location of variants near the Caspian Sea, like Kashyapa, which correspond to the scientific theories of the time. And it's an interesting example of model of dialogue, or maybe integration with science. But in the same time, he opposite scientific theories about the writing of Bhagavatam in the 13th century by Gauḍīya. And Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. He regularly emphasized the insignificance of such empirical issues, the evolutionary theory, the structure of the cosmos, the life of the dinosaurs, and position of the moon. I think I can show these examples, very interesting. When Srila Prabhupada answered to the Rameshwar Prabhu about the dinosaurs, he told that I never bothered with this nonsense things, or why there is so-called discrepancy between the views of Bhagavatam and modern science regarding the moon and other planets. There's a most insignificant matters. Yes, yet it's this good example for a model of interdependence. We do religion, not science, but we have also, as Srila Prabhupada emphasized, the limitation of scientific knowledge. For example, that all the arguments of the scientists also based on the myths. Who will believe you? If you don't believe us, we don't believe you. And if you see the certain matters ahead of you, it's wonderful, but what's the point of saying that you can see through the whole universe? And Prabhupada also use some allegorical descriptions. I think I can go firm. It's also the one of point of model of dialogue between science and religion. And Srila Prabhupada also accepts the eternity and historicity of scriptures at the same time. Like although the Bhagavatam may not have been written, the tradition was there It was originally spoken in 4 slokas by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Brahma, and accept the authority of Indian astronomy, Surya Siddhanta, but Srila Prabhupada don't read personally these shastras, but ask his disciples to use the Surya Siddhanta for understanding of cosmos. And this point of dialogue approach. And Srila Prabhupada used various strategies of empirical interpretation. It's also very interesting. Srila Prabhupada have different point about sacred geography and continents, dweeps on the level of existence, Bhumandalas. Geographical interpretations, dweeps corresponds to the continent of our planet's cosmic interpretation, dweeps planets of the universe, different points about origin of life, denial of the possibility of the appearance of life from material elements, and explanation of the possibility of abiogenesis, the appearance of life from inorganic matter also, and the evolution of species. Species are created immediately, or species arise for sequential transformation. And my conclusions, that the two-level...
Prabhu, sorry to interrupt, but you have 1 more minute left, please.
Yes. The 2-level structures of the relationship of revelation and science in Gauḍīya Vedānta, sacral level, metaphysical level. Interdependence model is basic for religious experience, eternal reality. In the case of the positivist model of science, a conflict model is manifested: naturalism, determinism, reductionism, testimony, etc. Unacceptable. And we have also ordinary level, some question of physics using the Deshakalapatra approach, like perspectivism, or empirical interpretation in dialogue with science, and the model of integration is possible, but using of a hardcore of principles, credibility to testimony of scripture, the requirement of special competence for researcher also. That's my presentations, and thank you for attention.
Thank you very much. That was a nice summary of how various acharyas, both within and not within our parampara, use the various modalities of hermeneutics to address important issues of their time. And so certainly many things we can learn from there. We want to keep rolling here. Unfortunately, a few of our presentations this afternoon are online, and the online folks can't see my karate smile in the front row. Ask them to stick to the time. So if you are giving a presentation online, we would politely ask you to be extra vigilant in keeping to the allotted time. And so the next talk should end around 2:15. The next talk will be given by, I hope I say this right, Istvan Tassi, who received an undergraduate degree in cultural anthropology and a PhD in history from the, I'm definitely going to say this wrong, let's say Iotvos Lorand University. He also studied Vaishnava theology at the Bhaktivedanta College in Hungary and has since taught many courses there. He's authored books on science and spirituality, most notably Nature's IQ, which was published in 2009. And today he will be speaking to us on the topic of challenges of teaching Vedic cosmology at the college level. So, once again, Prabhu, if you're online, we will send you a text via the Zoom chat when you have 5 minutes to go in your lecture. So if you see a message suddenly pop up, that is me telling you you have 5 minutes left. All right, thank you. Without further ado.
Is everything all right technically? You can see my presentation now and
Yep.
hear
It won't pop up
and hear my voice.
Yes.
Anyway, we're having a sidebar chat here with the company. You may go. Prabhu. The microphone is yours, Ishtar Krishna. Oh, wait a minute. No,
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. When you are at the teacher's desk, you have to answer questions. I teach Vedic cosmology at the Bhaktivedanta College, Hungary, and try to clear the students' doubts. In a few years, we will have a functioning Vedic planetarium in Sridhar, Mayapur, and we will all be asked very similar questions around the world. We will all be at the teacher's desk, and it would be nice if we gave similar answers to these questions. I think it's important that ISCO researchers list open questions about Vedic cosmology and outline possible answers. But do not forget, in some cases, there are more than one possible answer to the same question. And we don't currently know what the correct answer is. What can we do in these situations? Here is my proposal for dealing with problematic issues. First, we have to make relevant research. Second, we should put on the list the authentic answers, which are not in contradiction with Shastric information and the Vaishnava Acharyas. That also means identifying and excluding non-authentic answers that are inconsistent with scriptures. Thirdly, and finally, we should acknowledge the variety of possible authentic answers and do not try to push only our own preferred answer. In this presentation, I will cover 3 popular problem areas raised by our college students regularly. First, what does higher dimensional cosmology really mean? How do we explain this term? Second, the Earth's place and shape in Bhagavatam cosmology. Third, controversy outside and within ISKCON regarding the moon landing.
Prabhu, on that note, I just want to
Let's-
interject real quick and let you know that if you're trying to scroll through your slides on the PowerPoint, we're not seeing them change. You're still on slide number 1 here.
Really? Okay, I
Really?
stop sharing and begin to share again.
Okay. Maybe also once you start sharing, if you put the PowerPoint in presentation mode, it might go more smoothly.
Yes, of course, it is.
We do love it. This is not a commentary on anything you're saying. We are also sorry to interrupt.
Okay, moment, please. I try to share it again.
Here we are. Now it is working better, but you can still put it into presentation mode.
Of course. Do you see it in presentation mode at the moment? Do you see it in presentation mode at the moment?
No.
This is like a timeout. You have to give them extra time because of this.
No, I tried to change it. Is it changing?
No.
Prabhu,
Szerintem
we
ott az
we think
előadói nézetet kapcsolt ki.
Jó,
Fönn középen a monitoroknál.
okay. It will be all right.
No, I think you have to come out of share, open your presentation mode, and then share the screen share the right screen. I think you're sharing a different screen.
Is it
No,
okay now?
No, you're sharing the same thing again. It's
Do you-
okay if
do
he
you
knows
see?
how to scroll down on using the side. You'll have to use your cursor on the side bar, scrolling between each. Try that.
Okay.
Yes, that's how you scroll. Okay.
Okay, so I will use this method. Okay. Let's see the first topic. What are the higher dimensions? We have more distinct representations of the cosmos. One is the Puranic presentation of the universe with 14 planetary systems. Another one is the modern picture of the cosmos with billions of irregularly located galaxies. There are celestial bodies that appear in both views, such as the sun, the moon, the stars, and some planets. However, in the Puranic cosmos, there are also many celestial bodies and regions that are not discussed by modern science, such as the Bhumandala, upper and higher planetary systems, or the invisible planets, such as Rahu. The size and layout of the two systems also differ in many ways. In the Vedic worldview, subtle material elements exist, and even gross material elements can form more varieties of substances than modern physics considers. Therefore, certain planets and certain parts of the universe cannot be seen by human eye or by telescopes. In this sense, we can say that when we look at the sky, we only see the skeleton of the universe, the objects that our senses allow us to see. We do not see certain other forms of matter and energy, and we can say in one sense that they belong to another dimension. But the presence of imperceptible objects is not the only thing that distinguishes the Vedic universe from the modern representation of the universe. In the two systems, even the same celestial bodies, such as the sun, the moon, and the planets, have different sizes, distances, and relationships to each other, as according to modern astronomy. This means that celestial beings like Brahma, other demigods, and sages perceive the universe in a different way than we do. They see it as presented in the description of the 14 planetary systems in the Srimad Bhagavatam. BIHS currently has a great lecture series on the book Vedic Cosmography and Astronomy. In this book, Sadaputta Prabhu gave many examples of sages and demigods experiencing space in a different way than we do. They sometimes use space and travel through space in ways that are not possible for us. This means that they and we see the world differently and use the same material reality in different ways. In other words, space can work differently for us and for them. This is another interpretation of higher dimensions. The Puranic and scientific view of the universe cannot be harmonized within a standard three-dimensional concept of space. Rather, it seems that space itself is a more complex phenomenon and may appear differently to different living beings. The operational possibilities of space are more diverse than what modern science can imagine or explain. And perhaps the objects in space and their relationship to each other can also be seen differently by beings with different levels of consciousness. It leads us to the second topic, the shape and place of the known Earth and its relationship to Bhumandala. According to modern understanding, according to the space photos, and according to geophysical literature, the Earth is a globe. But where does this Earth fit in the special system of Bhagavata cosmology? And what is the shape of the Earth in this divine vision of the universe? This question has interested and divided thinkers dealing with Puranic literature and astronomy for centuries, and in contemporary ISKCON too. I have came across three views in ISKCON regarding the position of the Earth. According to the first position, in Bhagavata cosmology, the Earth is also ball-shaped. This globe is close to the Bharatavarsha region of Jambudvip. This Bhugola or Earth globe view is represented, for example, in His Holiness Dhanavir Goswami's writings and videos. According to the second view, the Earth, what we observe as a globe, is equal to or part of Bharatavarsha, and in the Bhagavatam cosmology, this area is basically flat. This approach assumes that the Earth, which we humans perceive as a sphere, in the higher vision of the demigods, is the horizontal area of Bharatavarsha in the middle of Bhumandala, specifically within the Jambudvip island. We cannot be surprised at the different views of the demigods, since even earthly beings experience the same environment differently, due to the differences between their senses and their level of consciousness. Moreover, according to this Bharatavarsha concept, the different perception of the shape of the Earth is caused by the fact that the demigods and we perceive the same reality differently, since the space of the universe works differently for beings of different levels of consciousness. As Sadaputta Prabhu said in one of his lectures, the Vedic literature requires a different concept of space. According to the third approach, the Earth is flat even in our own reality. And this flat Earth is the Bharatavarsha portion of Jambudvip. This view is popularized in ISKCON, this flat Earth idea popularized in ISKCON by Maheshwara Das. The flat Earth conception is highly controversial nowadays, and I think ISKCON researchers should consider and decide if it is a valid conception at all. In other words, these three logical solutions all exist among ISKCON thinkers. First, the Earth is a spherical, according to our point of view, and also in Puranic cosmology. Second, in all reality, it is a sphere, but in the Puranic system is flat. And the third, the Earth is flat in all reality and also flat in Puranic cosmology. I think BIHS researchers should carefully consider the quotes and arguments in favor of each view. But even in that case, it is possible that several parallel views will survive side by side. And here is the third topic, which was also mentioned today in the morning session. One of the relevant questions regarding the moon, that it is possible to reach the visible moon. According to NASA, there were several moon landings between 1969 and 1972. And they also have a plan for a new moon expedition called the Artemis program. The launch was originally planned for 2025, but according to the recent news, it will be postponed by at least a year due to technical challenges. In the contemporary culture, there is an ongoing debate between moon landing deniers and the supporters. The main areas of discussions are the real technological possibilities of the age, the dangerous radiations surrounding the Earth, the authenticity of photos and videos, and wasn't it just part of a Cold War propaganda at all? This is a wide-ranging debate with countless arguments and counter-arguments, and it is difficult for a layman to decide who is right, because the claims on both sides are often difficult to verify. In 2006, NASA announced that the original footage of the trip to the moon had been accidentally erased from tape, and that only digitally modified footage was available. The disappearance of recordings, considered historic, also divided public opinion. Some thought it was an unfortunate coincidence, while others suspected that NASA was trying to hide something. Who knows? According to the Vedic writings, the moon is a heavenly planet with demigods and vegetation, and humans cannot enter there with their present bodies. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada often was skeptical about moon landing. But in his book and conversations, he made different claims on moon landing. He said, for example, that they went to the moon but bring back only some dirt. He also said that the astronauts were diverted to this desert area of the moon. In another passage, he said that maybe they went to the Rahu planet. And sometimes he also said that the moon landing was a hoax. In present-day ISKCON, I met two approaches regarding moon landing. According to the first one, we can say the orthodox view, moon landing was not real and in principle is not possible because of the extremely different circumstances and due to other problems arising from the Vedic cosmological concept. On the contrary, according to the other point of view, although we cannot go to the heavenly moon, we can reach the visible dusty moon. Of course, we can all form our own opinions. And for those who are interested, we can say that just as in the wider society, so within ISKCON, there are several positions regarding moon travel. If you have any comments about my presentation, please let me know. And I wish you a successful question and answer session at the gigantic teacher's desk at the TOVP. Thank you very much for your kind of.
Thank you very much. One thing I really liked about that PowerPoint that I always encourage all of my students to do when they make a PowerPoint is to put as few words on the slide as possible, and then tell the audience what you want to know. And so he did a very good job of that. I don't know, can you hear me? You should be able to hear me. Yeah. I do just want to make a comment about the flat Earth thing, as this is a pet topic / peeve of mine, which is that it is the unanimous consensus of the Bhaktivedanta Institute of Higher Studies that the Earth is not flat. We have Stita D. Muni Prabhu, along with Prishni, with some contributions from myself and some others, have written a long form book of that, which may be available to the public at some point in Kali Yuga. No, I'm joking. Is available online right now. I've also written a shorter form article, not terribly short, but shorter form article, and given a lecture on this topic in the context of the Leaps of Faith and Doubt seminar series that I gave back in the fall, where we look at the arguments for a flat Earth and the science that thoroughly debunks all of it. And so we encourage anybody who comes across a flat earther to not take them seriously. On that note, we're going to move on to the moon landing issue. I'm not going to touch. I will say this about the moon landing, though. It is a fact that some of the original recordings of the moon landing were erased, but this does not mean that all of the original recordings of the moon landing were released. Specifically, what was released was the first few minutes of Neil Armstrong supposedly walking on the moon. But all of the other videos, for example, the videos of the Lunar Command Module communicating with the landing vehicle, communicating with Houston during the whole process of the landing, those were not erased, and those were digitally restored by HBO a couple of years ago as part of a documentary that made. So the original footage is there for those of you that want to see if it was docked or not. We'll give Rameshwar Prabhu 10 seconds. Yeah. Yeah.
Anticipate questions that non-devotees will ask.
Yeah.
And have answers ready.
Yeah.
Or at least possible answers. And then have a second group of questions that devotees speculating and reading Shastra in their own way are going to ask.
Yeah.
And have answers for that.
Yeah, and this is one of the challenges for such a large public presentation, is that we are seeking to address multiple audiences. I experience this every time I give a Bhagavatam class on a Wednesday at New Ramanreti, because there are all the adults there in their 180s and 190s, and then there are all the children there in their single-digit years. And so it's, who are we talking to? And so I think a very important mission of the TOVP itself is to figure out who is your main audience, because it's very difficult to address all audiences in one go.
We have to have an answer ready for our devotees about giving the golden. With no question, we have to be prepared.
Okay, good luck. I'm in the I don't know camp. All right.